People always say that you have to have money to make money, and that there's an extraordinary level of sacrifice on the road to success. So how is it that investors like us, who didn't start out with much money and who don't rely on banks and credit, how is it that we can increase our income and build our wealth in a way that doesn't require us replacing one full-time job with another while still enjoying the things in life that matter most to us? That has always been the big question, and this podcast reveals the answers. I am Carrie Lake, and this is the Investor Warrior. Hey, you guys, welcome to the Investor Warrior show. This is a live show today, so if you're listening today, go ahead and ask questions. We're going to be bringing our guest on soon. If you're listening to this on the podcast, unfortunately, you can't ask your questions, but you can always reach out to me on Facebook or Instagram. So before I introduce our guest, I wanted to talk to you just 2 minutes about something that's been on my mind. And it's been on my mind because we are listing one of our properties that we're flipping. I just went over there this morning. It's all ready to go. And so we're putting it up on the market. And I met the seller's daughter over there because she wanted to see what we did with the house, because we completely transformed it. And it was such a heartwarming experience to be able to show her what we did to her dad's home. Because it needed a lot of work, and we just completely transformed it, and it's beautiful. And so we spent some time over there discussing what we did, and she was so excited to see it. One of the things that I've really been thinking about is how important it is to build relationships in this business. Every time you meet someone, every time you interact with someone, whether it be someone else in real estate, a seller, a buyer, someone you meet. We went out to St. Augustine a few weeks ago and we met this couple at the pool, and they also are somewhat in real estate, and we got to know them for a few hours by the pool. Every single time we meet someone now, we get their mailing address. Mailing address, not email address, mailing address. And what we do is we put them on our mailing list for Christmas cards, like sending them pictures of our Christmas card with our family and our kids and wishing them season's greetings, putting them on a friends and family letter. This is who we are. This is what we're doing. This is what the kids are doing. These are the projects that we're working on right now, because you just never know when someone's going to be interested in working with you. And I've really been thinking about this a lot because of this one property that we bought a few months ago that we're flipping. Since then, we have gotten to know a neighbor who owns a building. And we've actually been discussing that building with him because we were interested in purchasing it. So we've met a seller, we've met neighbors, we've met the person who runs the HOA who actually developed these houses in this little subdivision. And he wants to sit down with us and talk to us about how we fund our deals because he's a lender. We've met family members of the seller who we purchased the property from, and they want to go out to dinner with us and just get to know us more. And, you know, all from one property. And every single person that we've met, we've got their mailing address, because it's one thing to send out emails to people that you meet. It's another thing to send out holiday cards and family and friends letters telling people how you're doing. It's more thoughtful. So anytime you interact with someone, whether it be a seller, a buyer, a potential lender, someone you meet who's just interested in what you do, get their mailing address, put them on a mailing list, and start sending them updates on you and your life. So that's it for today. I'm going to go ahead and bring on our guest. It's Josh Mentesana. Hey, Josh.
Hey, good morning.
So you guys, I'm really excited to have Josh on the show today because Josh and I met almost a year ago at a real estate event. And then we were out in Arizona a few weeks ago, and we were both teaching assistants at this event. And so we both got to speak in front of this group of 60 people. And Josh, I knew you, but I didn't really know you very well until you got up in front of everyone and you shared your story. And so I was really inspired by your story. where you started and what you've done since then and where you're at now. And I think it's a story that, even if you can't relate to the actual details of what Josh went through, you can take bits and pieces of the story, and it can relate to certain adversities and challenges in your life and some of the mental shifts that we have to go through, sometimes to make changes in our life. So go ahead and introduce yourself, and you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Like Kari said, my name is Josh Mentesana. Just turned 35 years old and currently living in Sonoyta, Arizona. I was raised on Long Island, New York, and how I ended up in Arizona, did the jump from Florida to here. Man, where to really start? Kari mentioned that I had to exercise some mental shifts in order to really get to where I am. And I would say the last 3 years has really compounded for me. I've really been able to take on more pressure, more stress, and really allow that to force me to grow and develop into something that I never really thought I was capable of. Especially that I have like backbone support, like my wife, who's just a huge support for my vision and my dreams. But I guess I can kind of share a part of my story. And Kari, you didn't know this, but I did, and that's kind of why I chose to do it today. Was 27 years ago. Yesterday was when a member of my family, my grandfather, who's like the patriarch, right? Everything good in me, I feel like he's instilled all these great characteristics. He was killed in a home invasion in my home. And at 7 years old, going from being raised with my grandfather and my uncles, right, and we're all rough houses and going through sports, things like that, to just the very next day, today, 7 years later, it all being gone. Mm-hmm. And at a young age, you don't really process what's going on. You're just by it, right? So I want to throw this kind of percentage out there. At a young age, we see life for what's happening to us, and we don't really know how to respond to it. So life really becomes 90% of what happens to us and 10% how I respond, right? And when we go through experiences, especially at a young age, as an adolescent, we begin to be affected and take on more of a victim mentality. Mm-hmm. And the victim way of thinking, right? Everything is negative, right? I am a product of my environment, right? That's kind of or I am what I am, right? And now after time of sitting and thinking and saying, hey, this can't rule my life, right? Because people are out there, they're doing great things, they're following the heart, they're following their visions, and they're accomplishing incredible goals around the world. How do I be like that? And there are some words in a special book that says hope deferred makes the heart sick, right? Well, how sick do you need to get in order to make some changes in yourself? So I begin to shift the way I think, and now the statement "I am a product of my environment" is I am a product because of my previous environment. Mm-hmm. Now my shifting is now life is really 10% of what happens to me, 90% of how I respond and choose or allow it to choose to affect me. Mm-hmm. And that's been it's been tough. It's not easy. And everyone has a 10, right? Everyone has an experience. Mine is mine, yours is yours. We all have 10s of experiences, but really it comes down to how are we internalizing that, and then are we using it in a positive way to then drive this energy, this fuel that we have to internalize to accomplish these visions and goals, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. And so you're 35 now. It sounds like when I heard your story at the event that it took a little while, kind of ups and downs and different experiences that you went through until like your 20s, right? Yeah.
I was about 27. I mean, I made some changes in my early 20s. I began to really focus on, all right, there's got to be more to life than going out, partying, having fun. Everyone soils their oats. We all have our wild oats years, right? But really, the underlying question, or the underlying thing that we're not addressing in those years, is your identity.
Yeah.
Who is Josh Mentesana, right? Who is Kari like?
Yeah.
And more so who you are, but how are you being remembered? Or how will you be remembered if, let's say, you were gone today? And I think about that often, right? I'm a bit more type A person, a little rough around the edges, so people may remember me as being a little bit more stern and aggressive. But really, when you get to know me, I have the biggest heart in the world. I'll give you the shirt off my back. That's how I was raised. But it was till maybe it was like 27. I was about 27. It was about end of 2017, early 2018. I decided, all right, I'm done with this. I'm going to make this mental shift, because I'm noticing every 6 months, every year, every 3 years, I'm going through these, I want to call them karma cycles, right? Like cycles of karma. People in different, I guess, circles, you can call it generational curses or whatever it is, but I'm experiencing things that are repetition in my life. And why are they repetition? Because this is my life. And I realized, well, it's because I'm letting it happen. So when I would experience, whether it's mentally or monetarily, when it comes to money, and every couple months it would come by, I'm like, all right, no, we're going to sit here, we're going to focus in on it, and we're just going to attack it head on. It did just so happen that I was studying martial arts around this time. So I was really focusing and developing my internal warrior, right? Finding my own peace. In that message that I shared with you about my life, there was a quote, right? It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in war. Knowing how to fight and when to fight, but not always being that bull in a china shop, right? So I kind of began to channel that energy into life and how things were affecting me. So I set some crazy goals for myself. I actually took the entire month of December, I think it was 2017, and I was like, I'm just going to fast the whole month. I said, yeah, I know it's Christmas. I know it's the holidays. Yeah, well, the new year, January 1st, I'm supposed to join a gym and start working out, right? But it never works out that way.
Because I'm actually reading about fasting right now. Someone is doing a 21-day fast that I know, and I'm like, 21 days? Like, I can't even go half a day without eating.
Yeah. Well, you can fast certain things. It's not always entirely food, right? You can just cut things out of your life that are just distracting you from focusing on what you really should be. And that's really what I did. Of course I ate. I was training at the time. I had a really big goal set for February, which was for 2018, which was pass my second degree black belt exam. So December, I was still eating and training, but I took a lot of things and I cut it out of my life so I can focus specifically on me. And I can create, because I realized it takes 28 days to create a healthy habit, right? So I started exercising this 28-day rule, where when something would come around and I'm like, hold on, wait, what's going on here? Nope, we're going to start today, right now, for the next 28 days, and I'm going to crush this. Because by the end of the month, now I've created a whole new habit, and I've taken this place card, right? This area in my life that I was being affected. Now it's empty because I've broken that, right? So now I have a place in my life that I can build and manifest whatever dream or desire that I choose to with this energy.
So you weren't fasting from food. You were fasting from the habits that weren't supporting you anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that. It's like take a fast from the bad habits.
I mean, if some people, it could just be as simple as television, or it could be waking up early, or it's being able to identify it, I think, is the biggest.
Well, the whole point of fasting, when you do like a water fast, when you fast from food, is to detox. That's really what it's for. It's not to, people don't generally fast to lose weight, though that's a benefit of fasting. It's to detox the body and let the body heal, because it's not working on digesting anymore. It can work on healing other parts of it. So like taking that analogy, fasting the things in your life that need to be, allowing that healing to take place by fasting from the things that you've been focusing on that aren't necessarily supporting you.
Yeah. And it wasn't so much my body that I was focusing on healing, but it really was though, right? It was my internal spirit that I was focusing
your soul.
on healing. Exactly. Like, how can Josh be a better person? Because Josh doesn't want to keep living these ways. And then you start thinking about, well, why am I living these ways? Is it because of my past experiences, or the way I was brought up, or the influences that were around me, or is it things that happen in my family for generations and generations, right? And you start assessing all of these things, and then you kind of start to spiral a little bit into these holes of your life, of your past history. But I didn't want to get stuck there, because my ultimate goal was self-identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come to the conclusion is that Kari, Josh, everyone listening is created in a very unique individual way.
Yeah.
And we're all beautiful in our own way, and we all bring something magnificent to the table. But a lot of times we're affected by what other people think about us.
Oh, totally.
And I began to realize the hell with what people think about me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not even going to remember me when I'm gone. I would rather people be more concerned about what people think about me when I'm gone than when I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if you're going to either be offended by me living a life of extraordinary lifestyle, or they're going to be inspired.
Mm-hmm.
So I chose this life mantra: in everything I do, add value.
Yeah. So what, how did you get into real estate? Because what were you doing before?
I was living in Florida. I lived in Tampa. Yeah. I was living almost down
you were a Floridian before you became an Arizonian.
Exactly. 14 years in Arizona, in Florida. Sorry. 14 years in Florida. And I loved it, and I miss it. There's parts of Florida I really do miss, and we have such great friends and family out there that we miss, but they all know my story, and they know the path and journey I'm on. So,
I mean, well, now you have a much better view from your.
I can see them from a distance now.
There's not much viewing of mountains here in Florida.
No, there isn't. But
and you have wine. Don't you have your own wine vineyard there?
Personally, not yet. I'm going to answer that question. Not at the moment. But if I open up my blinds and I blind you all with my pale skin, I can see the vineyards right outside my office window. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, I was living in Florida. I was running a construction company. I was, I took over the roofing division for that company at the time, and I had a phenomenal partner who still lives in Florida and has just was a really great sounding board for during this time of transition for me, right? Because he was just a very, 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 very humble, very godly man, right? And there was always wisdom and knowledge in the things that he spoke. So I benefited from that, right? And I think it's healthy to surround yourself with people who make you feel uncomfortable and challenge you.
Yeah.
So I was in Florida, and really the reason why I came out here 3 years ago, and once again, you didn't know this, but I did, was that 3 years ago, practically to the day, I was pulling out of Florida, leaving to go stop at my sister's in Maryland to then drive to Arizona and start a whole new life.
Wow. Serendipitous that we're talking about it today.
Yeah. To tell you, the whole week for me after my birthday, I'm like, it's just introspection, and, but I'm really happy to have the opportunity to sit here and talk, because it's now creating this new reality.
Yeah.
Right. At one point, it was just a vision and a dream and imagination. And so before the call, I told you about that quote, right, from Lewis Carroll. It's the imagination is the only weapon in the war against reality. Right. Reality. And I was dreaming and thinking, man, it would be so cool if I could live a life like this one day. And next thing you know, there's an opportunity where it's like, hey, you got to go to Arizona. You have a mom and a sister out there, but you don't have any friends. You don't have any business contacts. You haven't been marketing in the area. How is the real estate market? What's the construction market like? Can I go find a job? All these questions. And then go from a major city in Florida to 2 miles from the Mexican border at the foothills of the Coronado Forest, looking out my window where there are no houses by me, but I'm surrounded by mountains and trees, and going, man, this is great. but this is going to be tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, total transition.
Yeah. And now I realized, through Greg, right, is that I was the past 3 years, I've been living my best life, and parts of that life I didn't really even know I was until I can sit now and look back and see that. So just to put a reality of the past 3 years, 3 years of compounding, laser hyper focused hard work. I had about 10 grand in my pocket, my 2 dogs, my trailer, right? Towed everything across the States and started over. Decided, you know what? I'm going to go into real estate because I think it's going to help me network. And, I've always wanted to learn how to buy homes, sell homes. People become wealthy through real estate. And it was, wealth is not something that I knew, especially at a young age. We were used to, trading food stamps, for fresh produce at a young age. So I'm like, all right, so there's a possibility for me that if I work really hard, I could be successful. Right. And that's successful to my own standards and values. I got my real estate license and I just started compounding from there. Right. It's like, all right, go set up with a brokerage and, start doing open houses and helping people with their transactions. And then I'm like, all right, there's got to be way more to real estate than just being a buyer's agent. Right. Understanding how listings work, understanding how investment works, understanding how to put a house under contract, but not necessarily purchase it, right? Yes, it's in my name, but I can just write that to and assign it to another buyer, right? And then this whole world began to open up about, oh my goodness, it's not just, here I'm a realtor, let me help you buy a house. It's how can we work together to accomplish your dreams and goals? Because this road is very, very big, and there's a lot of people that it could fit on it. It's rough, it's bumpy, it's hard. You will cry, right? It is difficult, but if you stick to it and persevere, it will also shape you into, I don't know, into your best self. I would say that, into your best self.
Yeah. So you are listing and buying agent, but then you also invest too. What are some of your focuses? And
right now it's single family homes, primarily single family homes. We are transitioning into focusing on long-term holds as a personally, just starting my own portfolio and commercial properties. But that being said, I was even looking at developing. I have this construction background where I'm like, all right, cool. Now I'm beginning to see where real estate and construction really do complement one another. It's like the yin and the yang.
You're going to write the check, and you're not going to pick up the hammer.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's gotten to the point where I can write the check for the house and buy it, and then and also be the person working on it, swinging the hammer, and also being the person selling it. Right. So now it's like, now I'm not just the investor, and now I'm just not the realtor. Now it's like, it's full encompassing. You've got 3-4 rods in the fire. And I would say, after going to Power Players the first time in Coeur d'Alene, my mind was just blown. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm really beginning to now see where both roads come together. So I was driving down the road, and I'm almost like stressing myself out. I'm wound tight as it is, and I'm driving by just going, opportunity, opportunity, opportunity. Oh my goodness, right? Because I began to see things for not what they were, but what they could be.
Yeah.
And that also applies to my life philosophy, right? Just stop looking at it for what it was and look at it for what it could be. And I found a piece of property that just, I was drawn to it. It was really close to wine country. I'm like, I wonder if I can put a presentation together and, pitch this to developers. And it was received, right? No, we didn't buy the property. They're not doing development on it. But what it did is it opened up a huge door of opportunity for me. Yeah. So real estate, just besides the monetary value that you can, monies that you can make on it, it gives you the opportunity to get in front of people, and it opens doors. And now I have relationships with people that I would consider my best friends, if not brothers and sisters, in a beautiful community. And I mean, it's been 3 years to the month, to the day. What is going to happen next year? because I know I won't be where I am today.
Right. That's super cool. Yeah, just a few things that you said. I think that when you don't know what you don't know, you don't see what's around you. I can relate to that because when I was in the medical field and I wasn't focusing on real estate, I didn't look around me while I was driving every time I got in the car and look at all the opportunities. There wasn't any opportunities in front of me because I wasn't looking for them, because I wasn't aware of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I went to my first real estate seminar and they were talking about code enforcement liens. And they were like, look for, there's plenty of houses with tall grass and boarded up windows. And I'm like, really? Because I've never seen them. And I came home from the seminar and went and took the dog for a walk. And like 3 doors down, there's literally a big sign in the front yard from code enforcement with the grass growing high. And I'm like, why have I never seen this house before? This house was there the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I've walked by this house. The sign has been here. The grass has been high. But it wasn't until someone helped me with that awareness of the opportunities that are in front of us, right? It's like when you want a certain car, like you start researching, I want a red Jeep. And all of a sudden you see red Jeeps everywhere. It's like all of a sudden you're super hyper aware of what it is that you want or the opportunities that could be there. And I remember that feeling like when I saw that house with the sign and I'm like, how long has that been there?
It's probably 3 years.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like every time I get in my car, I'm literally working 24/7 because I'm always looking around.
Yeah. And the other side to that, and I'm going to bring it to the negative, right? The other side is you drive down the road. It's like, man, this place is a dump. Someone's got to do something about this, right? Well, why don't you do something about it? Why don't you be the change that you want? Mm-hmm. And that applies to life. It applies to self-development, right? It also applies to your business. If you're not happy with it, do it. Change it. Don't just talk about it.
That's so funny that you said that because I was just thinking probably this morning, there's an area of town here that's just kind of run down. Looks more like rental area, and it's a little pocket it's a small pocket in a nice area.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just thinking to myself this morning, how could I buy that entire neighborhood? And I was literally envisioning myself buying like half the neighborhood, fixing it up, and then buying the other half the neighborhood, fixing it up. Like I had this whole story going on in my head about this, and it's actually a pretty big neighborhood. I had this whole story going on in my head and this vision going on in my head of how I could improve the home values around it, how I could get a safer community there, how I could turn it into more owner-occupied homes, because it's in a great area, great school district, but just very, very run down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny that you said that, because this is like I had a whole like story going on in my head just yesterday or this morning.
I would say, contact people in the area that also feel the same way about the area, who, they may not have millions of dollars, but they might have $50,000 to $100,000 to put in. And then it just comes down to let's put a business plan together, and maybe we syndicate an equity fund where we purchase it and we hire the right contractors to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
But it's interesting because these thoughts that you have, you start to develop these visions because you start to see what's possible. You start to like believe in the process. You start to see the opportunities around you and see what you can do about them. See the problems that could potentially be fixed by your imagination and your creativity. And it's like, it almost drives me crazy when if I don't take action, I'll go crazy because I'll just keep thinking about it and brewing on it.
Yeah. I'm beginning to realize is when it comes back around the third time, if I'm not acting on that, that's on me, because that is, the universe saying, I'm giving this to you, right? This will work out. And I think it's because we have the ability to, and the power within us to dream these things, but we also have the power to will these things into place, right? Mm-hmm. And I, I started to ask myself years ago what is my energy? Is my energy internal? Is it negative? Am I focusing on all of what happened yesterday? Or can I shift my energy to start projecting positive vibration, right? And saying, all right, hey, if this is an opportunity, we're going to go down this path and see what happens. You won't know unless you try. And if you fail, all right, you may have failed, but you learned a heck of a lot along the way and met some great people.
Well, and in like your case, like, okay, so you put together this whole presentation, took it to the developers. Nothing happened as far as development wise, but how much did you learn from that process? And what other doors did it open for you?
I mean, I learned county ordinances, the codes. I understood what the county's comprehensive development plan was now, what the economic development plan was now. I understood what's going to happen within the next 10, 20, 100 years. I began to see, oh my goodness, there's going to be a huge shift and a huge change in this area. Those developers may not be interested in it now, but doesn't mean that they're not interested in a piece of it, right? Mm-hmm. But in the future, they're going to be interested because of more so the monetary value that it may bring to a company, but the impact that it's going to have on the community. And I even went deeper. Is how is this going to affect not only my community, but how is this going to affect the state? And then how is this going to affect specific industries, right? There's an opportunity that this is going to bring millions of dollars of more taxable income to the state, right? This will better our school districts, improve our roads. Yeah. And what have I ever thought this way 7 years ago? No. Right. I would have crushed and buckled under the pressure, or just been like, that's impossible, right?
Yeah. Or you think about all the work that it would take to get to that point, and you're like, oof, that's a lot of work. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing.
And it wasn't, and I'd say the work is one thing, right? Yeah, it's a lot of work. I don't know if I'm willing to do that. But the other is, I don't think I'm willing to take on that stress or that burden. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. And when you begin to realize that an entrepreneurial lifestyle is knowing how to manage under constant pressure. Yeah. Well, growth comes with more pressure, more responsibility. Yeah.
Well, and that pressure just forces you to have to do something about it, to have to push yourself, because when you've got that, there is no pushing yourself when you're living a comfortable life. Like, what is there to push yourself for? It comes with the pressure of these things, these situations that we put ourselves into. Like, putting yourself into uncomfortable situations constantly is going to make you a better person, because it's just going to force you to grow and to grow and to grow.
Yeah. You almost seem like you're a masochist when you say that, right? It's like, I'm just going to put myself in these uncomfortable situations. But you're right. The fruit of that is just so valuable to yourself, but more so to the people around you. I really think that when we begin to focus on becoming our best selves, it inspires the people around us to do the same. Yeah. And you have to talk about it more. I love the baby boomer generation, but one thing that they didn't really do is teach us how to talk through these struggles that you may be dealing with in your head, right? So I'm a huge advocate for mental health awareness, and being able to have conversations that you may feel really, really uncomfortable about. Right. Because it helps you process as the person talking about it, but two, I mean, it's gonna impact Kari, right? It's gonna impact those people around who are listening. Yeah. It may get you to the point to realize, if he has the guts to talk about it, I should too, right? Just open up a little bit. I don't know what we're afraid of. I really don't. Are we afraid that people are going to look at us differently? So what?
I think we're afraid of just new things. I think that most human beings are afraid of uncertainty, because when you put yourself in uncomfortable positions, when you are doing new things, there's a lot of uncertainty there. And I think that most humans, they gravitate towards certainty in life. That's right. That's supposed to be the comfortable life, is being certain of everything. But I mean, if we were certain of everything, if we knew exactly what was going to happen, when, where, like, life would be so boring, wouldn't it? Like, there would be prize.
Exactly. And where's the reward in it? Where's
There's
the
no
reward?
reward. You know it's
exactly.
coming.
So you said it at the last Power Players. It's like, man, there's something really rewarding at the end of exhaustion, right?
Yeah, there's something really great at the other side of tired.
You know,
So,
complacency. You don't allow yourself to receive that mental reward or that, you know, that gratification of, wow, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
We did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we could be sitting here talking about this forever. So
no.
No, this is it. This is what gets me like fired up, because I think that more and more people need to hear this. I think there's so many, and I'm not going to bring up politics, but I am going to bring up the fact that there's a lot of stuff going on in this world right now where people are becoming too dependent on too many things, where they're not speaking up for themselves. They're not doing what they want to do. I mean, you and I were just talking about this before we got on here, is that real estate gives you the freedom to move where you want to move. If you don't like the politics going on in your area, you can up and move, because real estate allows you to do that. If you don't like what's going on in the world with different things that are, being forced upon us, then you can go and do real estate, right? There's no coercion going on right now in the world of real estate, in the world of entrepreneurship, because you have freedom. You have geographical freedom. You have freedom to choose what you're going to do on a day in and day out basis.
Yeah, no one's telling you can't pack your things and move, right?
Yeah.
And I'm really glad you brought that up, because I was living in Florida and I wanted to pursue real estate, but I think that the geographical change from Florida to Arizona really allowed me to focus on myself, and also I didn't have familiarity, right? I didn't have people to go to or not go to, right? There were no good circles and bad circles. It was just opportunity. It was a pool of opportunity, and everywhere I went could be an opportunity for me to, who knows, meet a new friend, find a business partner, find a new client. So I would say it was an advantage to me for just upping and moving and starting someplace else, because no didn't really mean anything to me. Everything was just a yes, right? This was just, pick the fruit you choose to eat and eat it and enjoy it.
I'm interested. Why did you choose Arizona?
My mom is living out here in South Arizona. My sister at the time was stationed here at base in Tucson at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base.
Yeah.
So I decided to move closer. I think it was almost probably over 14 years since I lived within, a 10-mile radius of the two of them.
Yeah.
And I realized that it's really important. Having family is one thing, and is important, but being able to see them and be there when they need you is just as valuable.
Yeah. Just imagine all the possibilities, you guys. I mean, really, if you're listening to us because you're thinking about getting into real estate, like, I really want you to think about what kind of freedom you can have when you get into business like this. It's one thing to go into business and have like a retail store and be your own boss and have your own business shop set up here. But it's another thing to have a business that can just relocate at any given point in time and just up and move to where you want to go and do what you want to do. It's hard. It's hard to have that kind of life when you have other kinds of businesses. And this is what I love so much about real estate, is you can up and move it whenever, wherever, whenever you choose to. And there's so much freedom in that, especially as we see everything that's happening in the world today. Whatever side you're on, you might not be happy with where you are at right now. You might not be happy with the job industry that you're in right now because of certain things. But with real estate, it just doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
And you know why?
What's that? Oh, we're losing you.
We broke up there. Do you know why?
Why?
We're here? Because your real estate business and my real estate business is right here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It
It's
goes with me everywhere I go. Just
yeah.
because I may have a building with a sign out in front of it, or current clients here does not mean that I can't take it anywhere I go.
Yeah.
Right. And sitting at a desk doing a 9-to-5 job, punching in, punching out, I can't really take that with me. I mean, it's a skill set. Real estate is just, it's a tool. It's a skill set. What skill set do you have? How many skill sets do you have? And if you're sitting here listening, thinking, oh my goodness, well then start learning. Open up a book, call Kari, figure out what Power Players is, right? Surround yourself with people who scare you or who are doing really good within the industry, within your very own town, state, or call somebody else. Mm-hmm. If it takes you buying a plane ticket and flying to Arizona and coming to hang out with me, do it. I dare you.
You guys, he'll feed you. He's quite a good cook, I heard from his wife. Wine right down the street. They bring like bucketfuls of wine into their home.
Yeah, we'll wine and dine you, definitely.
Yeah, mm-hmm. It'll definitely be a good time. Mm-hmm. In fact, Howie and I we're planning on coming to visit you guys soon because we want to check out all of Arizona. We just loved Arizona when we went out there a few weeks ago. It's just something about it with the mountains, and
it's a very special place. It really
don't get that in Florida. So, yeah. Well, awesome. Josh, where can people find you if they have any questions for you or they want to connect more?
You can find me on Facebook, Josh Mentesana, Instagram, Josh_Mentesana. You could email me, joshmentesana@gmail.com, or just shoot me a text or call me. I'll give you my number right now. It's 352-585-4439. Yes, it is still a Florida number while living in Arizona.
I noticed that. Yeah. Valid number 352.
At this point, phone numbers are just like addresses. It's just you put a PO box and forward it over to your other house in Montana.
Right.
So it's all relative. But thank you for this opportunity, and I really hope that there are some people listening are excited, they're stirred up, they're challenged, all the above. If anyone's thinking, hey, I'm thinking about getting involved in real estate, do it, but don't do it and think, oh my goodness, it's not working out for me the first year. Commit 5 years to it. Mm-hmm. Commit 5 years of hard grind, laser focus, push yourself, grow. I mean, force mental anguish upon yourself for 5 years within this industry. Yeah. And I guarantee you that by the end of the 5th year, you're going to look back and would be having the same conversation you're having with Kari, because it's 3 years for me now, and I'm blown away. I'm very happy that I made this jump, and the skill sets that you have now. Steve Martin said it best in his biography. If you haven't listened to it, it's really cool. He started doing magic at a really young age, and Steve Martin is one of the greatest comedians of all time. And he began to realize in his later age that everything that he did in life, every act that he had, from a card trick to a magic trick, all had an application to the final and most beautiful act that he's ever had. And it really was just the display of his life because he chose to follow his dreams. So everything that you're doing right now, whether you're choosing real estate, it's all going to come together in the end, and you're going to have a beautiful story, just like myself and just like Kari.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today, Josh. And you guys, if you're in Arizona, definitely reach out to Josh. But if you have any questions for him, give him a call, text, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Just such an awesome guy to get to know. And Catherine, your wife, just such amazing people and couple. So
yeah, you think I'm cool? Wait till you meet my wife.
She's pretty cool too. I mean, I'm going to say she's a little cooler than you, but
honestly, you know what? If it wasn't for her,
like a powerful couple. So
yeah, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I tell her that all the time. Having her support me and see my potential is really great. She's allowing me to become my best self, and becoming my best self is good for her, right? So yeah. It's great. We have a great team.
That's really cool. All right. Thanks, Josh. That's it for today, guys. We'll see you on the next episode. And remember, you are only one deal